Views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of KSMQ Public Service Media Incorporated or its assigns.
Are you having difficulties with your summer landscape project? Where do you turn for help? We're talking about tips you should know when choosing who you're going to get to help you. You're watching Garden Connections. Stay with us. Garden Connections. I'm Amy Whitaker. Thank you for joining us. I'm happy to introduce Randy. He is here to help us figure out how to find the right landscape designer. Call in now and ask your questions. The number is there at the bottom of your screen. So Randy, when somebody steps outside and looks at their landscape and thinks, oh my goodness, I think I need some help figuring this out, where do you start? What do you do?
Well, in today's world, Amy, you can turn to a landscape designer. Landscape designers are there to help people with all outdoor living spaces. They're trained in the outdoor room, helping you create a walkway or a patio, a pool area, or a garden where you can go out and enjoy and smell flowers and see wildlife.
And when it comes to deciding that you need help and you need a landscape designer, how do you go about finding one?
Well, landscape designers are typically professionals. There's some great websites, gardenminnesota.com being one, which is the Minnesota Nursery and Landscape Association's website, listing all professional landscape designers and landscape installers in the state. That would be a good place to start. Another good place to start may be just friends and relatives, people that you know have had work done, you've seen some of their work, you've experienced maybe a backyard that you've really liked. You could go that route. Many of us have toured around the country. We've seen beautiful nurseries. Many nurseries will have landscape designers on staff that are qualified that can come and help as well.
Okay, so you've kind of gone through a phone book or gone through a website and found landscape designers in your area. How do you go about contacting them? What is the best way?
Well, the best way, of course, would be to call somebody up, ask them to come out and meet with you. Many landscape designers have to meet with you on the site. And you want to make sure you're getting a qualified person, someone that has some credentials or schooling. So during that phone conversation, it might be great if you bring a portfolio, bring some samples of your drawings. Drawings are always part of the landscape procedure. A designer is an outdoor artist. They are helping you create correct traffic flows in outdoor living spaces. It's very much like an interior designer, except it's outside. For instance, many people build a deck when they purchase or buy a house. But the last thing they think about is the furniture. They typically build a deck, put some furniture on it, and then they realize they can't walk from point A to point B. A landscape designer does it a little different. He delves into what you want that space to be used for, and then creates the space so it works for your furniture and your outdoor activities.
So once you've contacted your designer and you've got them out to your home, what does the homeowner need to have prepared for the designer to get the ball rolling?
That's a very good question. The more knowledge the homeowner has, the better. If you know that you want a new outdoor living space that is low maintenance, for example, you need to ask for that. If you know that you love to garden and you would like to have a space that you can go out and kind of lose time and just enjoy yourself and have fun and work in the garden, you need to convey that as well. The use of the space is very important. So all the information that the landscape designer can get from you will help a great deal. It will actually help him start to assemble a little portfolio for you, or a little idea in his mind on how he's going to create this and what he's going to be able to present to you.
So what are maybe some specifics they should have? Like, say a scenario would be, I have 2 children and I need so many, so much room for them to play, but I need so much, room to do this or that or someone else.
Sure.
How specific do they need to be?
Well, when you reach the site, the more specific, the better. 2 children, to me, says that there probably should be an outdoor play space. That play space needs to be located somewhere close to maybe the kitchen, where the mother can look out the windows and monitor the children. So all of that starts to actually dictate how the space will be used. So the more information, the better. Currently, two of the biggest asked for things are, we want lots of color and we want no maintenance. And those usually don't go together very well, although you can try to do that. But you have to be realistic in your expectations and what you're asking for as well. We all love these outdoor spaces, and there is a little bit of work involved. But a good designer can design spaces that aren't going to make you a slave to them either. But we want to serve the entire family. If you have pets, if you have children, if your husband and yourself, for instance, do entertaining. Do you entertain one couple? Do you entertain the whole family? Does everyone come over? Do you like to spend a lot of time out? Are you outdoors people? Do you enjoy, for instance, the sound of water? Do you want to introduce that kind of feature into your landscape? Or would you like to have an outdoor fireplace or a fire pit? Currently, outdoor kitchens are kind of big. They're kind of a neat little feature that years ago we would have never even thought of. Having an outdoor cooking space, countertop, maybe even a small bar or refrigerator outside is all done, and really adds a new dimension to your yard and your outdoor spaces.
Is it applicable or feasible for a homeowner to have a budget in mind? Does that help the designer at all when working on the design, saying, I have got this amount to utilize, so that everything stays a little bit more within perspective?
Budgeting is crucial. It's very difficult, though, because in today's world, many homeowners don't have a clue of what landscaping costs. They maybe have been to a beautifully landscaped yard or home, but rarely does the homeowner reveal how much they paid for it. So it becomes difficult, but it's important. Now, the beauty of the plan or a drawing, a landscape plan, is it can be installed in phases. It doesn't all have to be done at one time. It can be done over a couple of years or 3-year period. And once it's all completed, it all makes sense. It all fits together correctly. And it doesn't look like, well, we got this on sale somewhere and we went over and bought a little bit more one other day and so on. Everything fits together and makes sense. It can be installed by professionals that way or yourself.
And if somebody contacts a landscape designer, gets the plan, and wants to install themselves, what are some tips you can give them about, installing everything on their own?
Well, as we talked, it's important to have a professional designer, someone trained in this business, someone that's artistic, someone that can convey their thoughts. It's every bit as important to have an installation that's going to actually install as the designer drew and designed the plan. Homeowners can do a tremendous job with some coaching. You just need to have a designer or a business, a garden center, that's willing to help you with those steps, getting you from point A to point B, C, and D until the project's completed. It's not beyond the realm of many people to do, at least most landscaping. There's some things that they should not try, but many installs, they are capable. You might take a summer to do it. You might dedicate that much effort into it to make it all work out, but it's very rewarding. We have many homeowners that do an excellent job, but we do walk them through it one step at a time because it's crucial that it's all done correctly.
And what are some of those project type things that you would suggest maybe they do go to a professional installer for instead of trying to do it themselves?
Retaining walls are pretty crucial. Retaining walls typically are holding up something. They're holding back something. And retaining walls in our area can easily fail if they're not done correctly. Professionals know how to do them, how to build them. The materials are available. We've all seen them in all kinds of flyers from different stores, home centers, and so on. So the materials are there, but the installation is the key to success. And so retaining walls would be number one on my list. Number two, water features are kind of tricky. Water's great in the garden, but waterfalls and making sure water is filtered correctly and making sure that the money and the effort put into it is not going to just be thrown away, it's a tough one to do if you're a homeowner. Homeowners do it. I'm coaching one right now that's working on it very hard, and I think they're going to get it, but it takes a little effort.
Gotta have faith.
That's right. You gotta have faith.
Any other projects, or are those basically the main two?
Patios, paver stone installation or brick installation on the ground can be tricky, can be kind of hard. Much more difficult than laying concrete. Much more difficult than some of the other surfaces like a gravel path or something like that that a homeowner could do. So those kinds of things, you may want to split the project up. Hire professionals to do that installation. And again, check references. Look at the quality of the install. I've seen many beautiful landscape designs installed by quote-unquote professionals, and it's not exactly what they had hoped. Little things just aren't as polished. So you want to make sure that you walk some of the projects that these people have done, look it over closely, make sure that you're going to get the quality that you want.
And I suppose phasing can kind of come into this then too. You can kind of have some of it installed by an installer, maybe some of the harder portions of the projects, and then you can do some of it yourself with some coaching and build on it from year to year.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Many new homes are like that. By the time they call the landscape designer in, the budget is gone. The builder got a little bit more for the flooring or the lighting or the whatever happened, but by the time they get to the yard, there just isn't much left. Plus, the homeowners are exhausted. But they need grass, they need walkways, they have to have some areas in which they can live and maintain. If a landscape design is drawn for the entire property, it could be phased over a number of years and installed slowly to get that final project that you always hope for. That is the best way to do it. Just quickly getting something done usually ends with a total redo because things weren't built from one project to the next.
And we have a question from Marnie from Lyle. She is wondering, what if you have just a small space or one single project that needs revamping, say maybe like the front of your house or the side of your house? I mean, is there designers out there willing to do just those small projects as well? Absolutely.
The projects don't have to be large. Fronts of houses or sides of houses or small patio areas are actually fun. They're fun to design, and it's fun to make a big difference. And you often can make a big difference even in small spaces. So the project doesn't have to be large. Sometimes a homeowner can take a few digital shots, bring it into the designer's office, and you can get a lot accomplished that way. So on small projects, many times a site visit isn't always required. It's a good idea, but it isn't always required.
So when you go out to look at a site, what are some of the things that you look for land-wise on the site, problem areas?
The very first thing that I typically look for would be grade issues. Water running toward the house or toward the structure, water going the wrong direction. Second thing would be hard surfaces, places where you walk. If it's an existing home, is the concrete in good shape? Has it settled? Has it moved? Thirdly, I would maybe look for anything I would like to screen, site-wise, sounds. Because through landscaping, you can do a tremendous amount of hiding of things that you don't want to look at or you don't want to hear. And in residential settings, often we're very close to our neighbors, and sometimes we can't control what they're doing, but we can certainly shield it.
All right. So we've got our designer. What are some of the specifications or the qualifications that you look for in the designer? Is there anything specific like that we could look for in our area?
Designers can become certified. The Association of Professional Landscape Designers is a national company that can certify designers. If a designer has met that criteria and is certified, that's certainly a feather in the hat. If he's a member of an association like the Minnesota Nursery and Landscape Association, that's also a feather in his hat because obviously he's serious about what he's doing. The term landscape designer is not regulated. Anyone can call themselves and do call themselves landscape designers. It's not necessarily in your best interest to hire just anyone. That's where these references are crucial. Looking at their drawings and their plans is crucial. Finding out if they can communicate and actually put on paper what you'd like to see done prior to any shovel going in the ground is really important. So go down that list. Look for somebody that's a professional. Professional doesn't always mean more expensive. It just means that they're going to be able to help you, and maybe you're going to get from where you are to where you want to be in one step rather than several. Mm-hmm. And so you just need to ask references and hopefully even experience some of their outdoor spaces. Go to where they've worked. That's better than any drawing they can show you. And spend some time there. Talk to the people that these people have worked for. Most designers, most landscape installers will be more than happy to give you some references.
Is there a difference between commercial and residential landscaping?
Typically, yes. Commercial landscaping is often done by a landscape architect. Not always. It's not regulated that it has to be, but it often is. Commercial sites often call for different applications for bed dividers, things that separate your turf from your planting spaces. Often more a commercial or an industrial look, concrete or maybe steel or aluminum edging is used. Sometimes plant choices are completely different. In a commercial setting, maintenance is always huge. Especially in today's economy. So no one has a maintenance budget, so everything needs to be designed in a fashion that maintenance is going to be very minimal, whereas homeowners typically can put in a little effort there.
What is the difference between a landscape designer and a landscape architect?
Landscape architect is licensed through the state of Minnesota or another state, has a 4-year degree in landscape architecture, and typically does not work on a residential level. Now, can if they want to, but typically does not, and often will design larger spaces addressing drainage, traffic flow, parking, maybe designing a complete development, location and position of homes and so on. Landscape architects often work on a larger scale and sometimes aren't as in tune with plant material as a landscape designer. Landscape designers deal with plants in our area day in and day out. We know what works, what doesn't, and so on. Many times landscape architects will specify things that do not work as well. And so they both have expertise in their own areas, and they both have a place in the world.
And I know we're kind of getting towards the end of the show, so I wanted to touch a little bit on eco-friendly landscape design. Everybody is worried about the environment today. What are some things that you should really consider if you're looking into doing an eco-friendly landscape?
Well, you know, eco-friendly to me means sustainable. It means placing plants in the right spots that aren't going to require extra irrigation, extra fertilization, placing plants in areas that are going to be very low maintenance, not requiring you to trim them with a power hedge trimmer or something frequently, expelling both your energy and the fuel that it takes to run this equipment. And many times those landscapes are not what the norm is. In our area, we're big at planting shrubs with rock all around and so on. That keeps the weeds down and keeps the maintenance low, but it's maybe not as eco-friendly as it could be. Adding more plants, reducing some of the rock, letting the soil breathe and so on is maybe a better way to be a little bit more natural. Mm-hmm. Now, it's a different look. It's a look that maybe is slightly wilder. And I'm not advocating lots of weeds. I'm just saying that it's a whole different mindset going into it.
Okay, we have a question from Phyllis. She is wondering if, like, the national gardening and landscaping shows that you may see on any number of stations have any positive or negative effect on, like, our local landscape business.
They have both positive and negative. The positive would be that people often get kind of pumped up when they watch the shows, and they like what they see. They like the transformation angle of that, from point A to point B. Look at what we had and look at what we did. The bad thing sometimes is the quality of the installation is done so quickly that it's not done as good as it should. And the expectations for this happening in real life usually are not there. It takes landscapers a while to install projects. It takes landscape designers a while to design them correctly. And these projects should last 15, 20, 25 years. So when you think of it in longevity, you kind of put everything in perspective. But the shows, I think, are good. I think they've raised the awareness.
All right. And back to designs. When you've got a design laid out in front of you that somebody has drawn up and it looks beautiful, but you say, maybe this area is not quite right, or maybe we should do something different here. Is it okay to ask, can you redo this or give me some different options? Or
Absolutely. That's what the planning stage is all about. Even though a plan may be drawn pretty and it's nice to look at and you know that someone spent a lot of time, it's a plan. It's part of the planning process. We want to get it right on paper before we get to the yard. So absolutely, if there's an area that isn't just right, ask the designer to rework it. He can rework it. He's very capable of that, and that's one of the criteria that you're going to want to look for too, is someone that's flexible, someone that's willing to work with you. Not be so highfalutin that this is the way it is. If you don't like it,
So how many trips can you expect before actually going from the design to the shovel in the ground between, meetings between you and your designer?
I would say that it always depends on the scope of the project and how large it is. For instance, maybe a small foundation planning, one visit onto the site, a follow-up visit with the plan, and then a follow-up visit with the crew would be very adequate. Mm-hmm. Larger landscapes sometimes take more than 1 year to plan. We're installing a landscape not in Austin, but not too far from Austin, that actually took 3 seasons to plan. The homeowner was very well versed in landscaping. She didn't work on it full-time all the time, and we would design and send it home. She'd come back with notes, and we'd design and send it home, and she'd come back with notes, and this continued for quite a while. She is going to be very happy when it's all done because she did touch every base, and she made sure everything was done just right.
So it is very important for the homeowner to be an active part of the designing process.
I believe so.
Well.
To get the best results, I believe they need to be very active in it.
And when it comes to payment, we had a question how should you expect to pay for a landscape design and or installation product?
Every company does it differently. Some companies will charge a flat fee for landscape designs. Landscape designers' time is very valuable, and they are trained people. They're not doing it for practice. And so every company does it different. Some companies, if you hire them to install, don't charge. Other companies will charge a fee that's reimbursed later. Other companies charge a flat fee, $50, $200, $500, $1,000 for the fee, depending on how large the drawings are. Sometimes there's different levels of this where you will pay X number of dollars, and then you can take the plan and shop and look to find out who is giving you the best deal. That's a very good way to go, because you're actually comparing one installer to another one using the same plan. It's very much like a home builder, or if you went to build a garage, you would get one plan, you would submit it to several builders, they would bring back a price that would be comparable. If you call several designers, they come out and each one gives you a plan. There's no comparison other than a bottom line dollar figure. But each plan can be so differently composed and installed differently that you can't compare them.
And as far as installation, generally, how do the payments work on installation? Is it going to be like installments, or half down, half when completed, or?
There again, many businesses do it differently. Some install everything and then charge right at the end, but expect to be paid very soon to the end of the project or right at the end of the project. Others collect some money down. Many projects require materials. So the businesses have to buy product and materials in maybe weeks before you see them on your yard. And so they need some assistance with that. So the down payment is very reasonable to do that.
All right, well, we are out of time for the evening. Thank you very much, Randy, for joining us.
Thank you.
And thank you out there for joining us as well. And remember, for more information, log on to ksmq.org and click on Garden Connections. There you can find past episodes, read the blogs, and you can submit your own ideas. Now that your garden is on its way, tune in next week when we'll share more tips and talk shop about what's on your mind and in your garden. For everyone at Garden Connections, I'm Amy Whitaker. See you next week.